Hello, so today I thought I would do a video of how I do my podcast recording. So I do have a couple of podcasts. I have one on Anchor, which is Cindy at 40, and I also have another one on Chirp, CHIRP, which is also Cindy at 40. And what I tend to do is I tend to write down my thoughts for the day that I want to share, and then I publish my pod, and then I read it. So I have a mic, which you can kind of just see here, and I have my phone, which it's all app-based podcasts that I use. So I just switch on the app and then I read through my notes. So I'm going to do that, and you know, I'm doing it as a way of, I guess, helping other people. Because I'm fairly new to all of this production of content and I guess just connecting with people and storytelling, which is kind of what I'm really trying to do here. So this is my process. This is how I do it. I'm sure other people do it differently, but this is what I do, and I just wanted to share that. I find that it makes it very simple and straightforward for me, because then I have my thoughts pre-written and I just have to read them, and so it makes my podcast a bit more well thought out and it flows fluidly. I normally end up with my trusty notebook. You can't really see it, but my notebook, and always, for whatever reason, end up with something written on the back of an envelope. That's because when I do my podcast, I like to just, I've got one of these A5 books, right? And I like to only ever use two sides, because I don't like, like doing a really long podcast, because it's quite easy to do a lot of writing of something, and I don't really want to do that. I just want to keep it nice and short, to the point, so I don't get bored, and everybody else who has to listen to it doesn't get bored. So I'm going to get started with recording today's podcast. So I'll be recording this one on Anchor, and the reason, so I normally start with recording, so I always do both podcasts, they're always identical, they're in different platforms, and at the moment they don't overlap, so that works. So with my Anchor podcast, which is the one I start with, I do that one first because there's no time limit on it, or if there is, I haven't figured it out yet, or I haven't reached it. Whereas with my Chirp, you get exactly 3 minutes. So I do it on Anchor because then it gives me an indication of how long my Chirp is going to be, or if I need to remove some of the things that I'd written about for my Chirp podcast. So today I am talking about anxiety, but you'll get to hear it because you get a double deal. You get to see how I do my podcast process, and you also get to hear what I'm talking about today, which is why we fail, right? Why we fail to get anything done, why we fail with all of those things. So I am going to be reading off my notebook, so because it's podcast recording. So I'll be using my Anchor, so I'm going to switch that on and I'm going to get going. So enjoy, and I hope you find what I'm talking about today useful, and I hope you find my podcast process useful, just for an easy, simple way of getting it done so that you don't forget what you want to tell your audience about. Because if you remember, podcast is people are listening. They can't see you, so It doesn't matter that you're reading off as much as it matters, say, when you're doing a video. It doesn't matter so much for a podcast, okay? So I'm going to get started, and I'll see you in a few minutes. We'll see how long this one takes today. Hello and welcome to Cindy at 40. I heard something from a motivational speaker that I listened to today that really got me thinking, and I wanted to share it with you. It was that anxiety is experiencing failure in advance. Okay. And then things like that happen. I get my words mixed up. And so what I tend to do then, I restart. Because again, people can't see you. I find that it's, you don't want them to have you sort of saying loads of wrong things. If I'd gone further into the recording and I was nearly at the end, there's an option to just trim off the bit that you've done so that you're not redoing the whole thing. But as we're still right at the beginning, then we'll just restart because that makes more sense, doesn't it? Okay, take 2. Hello and welcome to Cindy at 40. I heard something from a motivational speaker today that I hear people serious, okay. That's why I write it down. But it's really frustrating on days like today where you just can't get your words out. Hello and welcome to Cindy at 40. I heard something from a motivational speaker today that really got me thinking, and I wanted to share it with you. It was that anxiety is experiencing failure in advance. That is the worst, has not even happened yet, but we're already worried about it. We have already decided that the thing or action we were going to take is not worth it because of the feeling of fear. I have certainly felt this about a lot of things, a work meeting, a date, a new opportunity, you name it, the list is long. Why does this happen? To answer that, I will start by defining what anxiety is. It is a feeling of unease, such as worry or fear, that can be mild or severe. Everyone has feelings of anxiety at some point in their life. For example, you may feel worried or anxious about sitting an exam or having a medical test or job interviews. When these feelings become persistent and start impacting on daily life, this may be a sign of an anxiety disorder, which you should get support with. But in terms of just getting a general feeling of unease, it stops you from doing things because we're afraid of failure and want to protect ourselves from the judgment of others. So what is a possible solution to find, and then it happens again, right? So at this point, I will stop that and I will trim a bit off because I have already, so when that happens, I'm kind of nearly through it. Judgment of others. So what is a possible solution to find, okay, which, hello and welcome to Cindy at 40. I heard something from a motivational speaker today that really got me thinking, and I wanted to share it with you. It was that anxiety is experiencing failure in advance. Hello and welcome to Cindy at 40. I heard something from a motivational speaker today that really got me thinking. So this is an example of what it sounds like. I wanted to share it that anxiety is experiencing failure in advance. That is the worst, has not even happened yet, but we're already worried about it. So I'm just going to pause that. And that's my point. Part of the reason I like podcasts is, you know, you're reading, and when you listen back to it, it sounds so good and so professional, especially if you've prepared yourself and you've got everything ready for it, which is why I always pre-write what I'm going to talk about, and I just find that it makes it. That's my neighbour's dog. That dog wakes me up at 6 in the morning, but let's not go into that. So, right. So it just helps you for your thoughts to be clear, and it becomes a very simple process. I try not to overthink what I'm going to talk about in my podcast, and my kind of thing is it's a way of journaling where I am in life. So I don't plan topics in advance. I don't plan what I'm going to do in advance. It's whatever feeling, whatever situation, whatever I'm dealing with that day. That's what I talk about, which is why I try to keep it short, because it's not a lecture. It's just, this is what Cindy went through today, and Cindy just wants to share that with the world. It's a way of journaling for me, where I am, what I'm doing, and I like listening back to it, because I'll listen to a podcast I've made a month before, and I'm always surprised at my thought process on that day, and I find it quite useful in terms of challenging myself and continually improving myself. So what I'm going to do is I am going to finish doing my podcast, and I will upload it for you guys. So shall we just finish recording the last part of this podcast so that you can get that message as well, if you're still with me. And so where did we get to? So what is a possible solution? To try to find regular work or an activity that scares you. If you can dance with a fear, it won't go away. It will never go away, but you can learn to use it as a compass, so that when the fear shows up, you can say on that feeling, and there we go again, oh, that feeling I'm getting, that's reminding me I am on the right path, and that is the habit. Keep a journal or blog to document your progress that you're making. Hearing this today certainly motivated me not to want to fail before I had even tried. What motivated you to accomplish your goals today? Please share your stories and follow and like the video if you found it helpful. And once I've done that, I then put my title in my podcast, put a description, which is normally just what I've literally just spoken through in the podcast, just in written form for people that like to read, because not, you know, people like different things. Some people are visual, some people are hearing, some people are reading, and so I always put the whole written script in there as well for anybody that wants to read it. And then I'll find, so I'll make my thumbnails for the day, and then I'll add a thumbnail for that podcast, which is relevant to that topic, obviously something eye-catching to get people's attention, and then I post it, and that's it. So, you know, it's taken 14 and a half minutes. Obviously, I've not included the time that I spent writing the podcast and the material for today, so that would be extra time. It normally takes me about 30 minutes, and it doesn't happen at the same time of day for me, because like I said, it's all a documentation of what I'm going through. So today's a Monday, so I had to work all day. It's now like, what's the time now? It's now like 6:30, so I finished work at 5. So on a day when I'm working, I won't really start writing anything until after work, obviously. So, you know, the process starts a little bit later, and then, but then it will take me 30 minutes to 45 minutes from start to finish. That is the writing, because during the day I'll have thought of something, then by the time I finish work, then I can start putting my thoughts down, and I can get ready to record that, and then I put it out, and once I put it out, that's it, it's done. And I love doing a podcast. I never thought I would. I think I would absolutely challenge everybody to make a podcast and listen back to it. And when you do that, you will be hooked on podcasts. Like, seriously, amazing. It's an amazing way to communicate and connect with people. So give it a go. It's quite simple. I like it. Don't overthink it. That's the most important thing. Don't overthink it, because when you think it, you know that anxiety I was talking about, you fail before you've even started. Don't overthink it. And you know, the first few were a bit scary, but now, because I do a podcast every day, as a way of challenging and dancing with my fears and keeping, you know, those juices alive. So, and I really enjoy it. So I hope you found this useful, and I hope, you know, you give it a go. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and let me know if you want to listen to my podcast. You can go to Spotify, if you have Spotify, and if you just type in Cindy at 40, you will find my podcast. Or you can go to Anchor and ANCHOR, and you will find my podcast there. Or you can go to Apple Play, you'll find my podcast there. And I think there's a podcast, I think it's called Podcast. You'll find it there as well. It's all Cindy at 40. So go, have a listen, let me know what you think. If you found this video helpful, like it, subscribe, and please share. And thank you so much. Bye.